Hey guys, Spark here with another quick update to the hybrid tier list. I'm not too used to this kind of videos, honestly, but I wanted to go over some changes that we did with the mates. As usual, thanks to Rion, Dark, and Ropalme for helping out. There are some pretty relevant changes that I just wanted to cover real quick. First of all, if we compare the two lists, we did cut down SS May from the Uber tier. I did show some resistance to that, but Ropan and Ryan didn't want her to be too aligned with powerful units such as SS Cyrus and Dojo Gloria. I mean, it's fair. She retains the same position at the end of the day, so it's totally fine. I do have my bias with her, I guess, since she's like my favorite unit to play at the moment. So yeah, all good. She's still very, very solid, brings Thyroid all plus to a team while providing guaranteed turn skip for the sinking acceleration, and of course the death drops, good damage, and good nuke. Uh, then we did want to revisit the newly released SC Rosa. We did overrank her a little bit at first. She's good, very, very, very good. Great to pair with devastation users, brain teasers, stuff like that. But overall, we feel like the Psych Chick girls are better. She aligns better with classic Elisa and Billy, were great activators while retaining their own fair of damage, with them being their max moves, but Rosa being great DPS. Yeah, overall great unit. RTM is pretty good, but those two girls are very good. Uh, Speaking of, we did brought back Bianca in the same subgroup as May, as we feel like it doesn't deserve to be separated. Air Striker stance with Brain Teaser is more relevant now with SS Brendan, and she still retains the potential tank niche that May doesn't have. But yeah, good units there as always. Moving on, we did drop slightly Masked Ryle. It's been a while since we discussed it, and he didn't move too much recently. It aligns a little better with Lucian, who shares a similar, utility, bring speed, and drops to the team while having a great nuke. So it's good there. Um, for me, it's cool. Like Crimson definitely deserves to be separated from him as a death drop, big damage, big nuke. That's that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We did bump Deoxys speed quite a lot. You've probably seen my videos recently using him to basically skip full turns of Sing acceleration. We feel this part of his kit is incredible while providing insane gauge to a team. And we initially probably a bit under-ranked his actual damage. Like, he still brings pretty good damage to the team by just pressing Psycho Boost once it's done with the utility stuff. Especially since you're sinking much faster, you get those buffs getting real quick. Uh, Moving on, we did talk again a little bit about Lysander. Ryan really wanted to swap him with Serena again. I feel that's fine. I didn't mind any order, but most importantly, I felt it was better to bring them all in the same subgroup instead of separating them. And I just went forward with leading with the tier instead, as Ketsis becomes a bit less relevant these days, while Lysander is very solid tank for LA if you manage to work around how it plays. And Sinking Acceleration plus potential flinch and decent buffing profile makes him a little more valuable to me. So, yep, same subgroup. Can be any order you like, honestly, for those three. Moving on, we did just slightly tuned on Sydney compared to Karen. Still a great sync nuker that you can splash anywhere, literally. But yeah, that's pretty much all that it does. I mean, it still has the potion and potential endurance tanking niche, while confusing the opponent with good chances to have them eat themselves. But we have more and more uh, units that like syncing anyway, so you're not gonna splash him too often in a team. So this is why we just swap them. Why Karen is getting a pretty huge buff with the upcoming grid. So we feel this order is great. We did rearrange the subgroup a little bit to end with Volkner and Bertha more separated from those two. All right, big changes around the kind of middle of the list. There was a lot of talks there, a lot of units that we wanted to tweak, and a lot of units that kind of feel on the same power level. Like you can say, like from this part to this part, they feel on similar power level with very different aspects to them. But first of all, Ryan brought a solid point about Tech Gyarados being super high in the list before, and this was kind of a mistake from us, in my opinion. Like just because it brings rain and has hyper beam, yeah, cool hyper beam, it doesn't mean like it's that good. It's a great hybrid unit, but if we compare it to Winona, they pretty much share very similar profile. Like the hair buffing profile is not that different. She retains great damage with Hurricane builds, and she also has potential incentive to sync, which he doesn't. So we felt like aligning them was cohesive and resulting in a big drop for him, honestly. But it's still great. Don't freak out. And we did bump Winona at the same times because I feel the community is hating a little too much on her. Like she's great rain setter with the potential flinch utility and damage, much like Gyarados. So the previous comparison with Candice, I feel, wasn't holding much anymore because Candice is more like a one-trick sync nuker, while Hail is much less good of a weather than Rain. So yep, just a quick rearrangement around that. Moving on, there are a lot of stuff that happened around there. First of all, we did want to buff up Lodge Rosa. Honestly, she just plays greatly, like easy to use. It flows very fluidly. Her utility with the defense drops and stuff like that is pretty good. If you ask me, it's not so much for the potential nuke. Like I don't care too much about that aspect, but just pressing liquidation over and over again to defense drop the team and keep doing some damage, or simply going for Aqua Jet utility build, like trying to flinch a little bit while getting N40 juice. I feel it's fun. Pretty solid unit, honestly. So, yep, we did move her up here. We also wanted to revise a little bit our judgment on Spring May, which have been historically pretty high in the list, and feel like over time, unfortunately, it's still great to have some sort of like she brings the utility, then she sinks and becomes a damage dealer, but it's actually super slow to use when you compare to other teams that sink super fast, go for the damage right away. She feels like yeah, she's good, but not much incentive to use her over faster stuff. Plus, the new Cynthia doesn't help her that much because both kind of would want to sync at the end of the day. So you sync first with May, so you don't have the zone during that time, and then you sync with Cynthia and you finish off with the zone like that. That's pretty slow once again. But still good there. We feel like it's a good alignment. Moving on, yes, Lysia, Ryan and myself wanted to rebump her a little bit. We are totally aware that we are kind of alone on the bandwagon for Elysia, but I feel she's very misunderstood from the community most of the time because people only saw her first as a it's Defog, whatever, you know. It's not about that really. I don't want to expand too much. You know my bias for Lycia, but I did tons of video on her, pretty much use her every week. So just check those out. You'll see what she can do for your team. But basically, just being able to grab aggro and have guaranteed endure makes it so in master mode you can use tons of free points by going full offense, dropping your HP, and picking up the critical shield because she has defog as well. And meanwhile, you can either be more utilitarian oriented with some potential flinch, or you can simply go like we appreciate doing with a damage oriented build, whether it's Moonblast or Dragon Pulse. She doesn't have mega demand if you use a Moonblast, so you know it's still good. Not like super hitting super hard, but it's a good complement to a team. And while the Dragon Pulse, if you go fully optimal comp with her, with like let's say Lucas and Falconer, she's pretty damn hard, like with Harry and the zone and stuff like that. And one last mention that I want to give also to people think like the sync is bad or something like that. It's not true. Yes, you don't use Dragon Zone during it because you prefer retaining the innate multiplier. But that just means like on turn 3, you can deny the left side with air sync and move forward with it. That's great. Like May can do that, for example, like we were talking about May. So yeah, that's good. And in Legendary Gauntlet and stuff like that, still very valuable. Can take quite a lot of hits while providing either offensive presence or utility aspects like she does. And you know, Defog is still Defog. You can use it to remove crit shield on Regirock or grassy terrain on Bulu, stuff like that. But yeah, just to emphasize, they are not paired because of the defog thingy. It just happened to be so, but um, it's not because of that. Falconer is more like he plays well at what he does, bring team speed, then he stacks debuffs and boom, big nuke works pretty well. You can spec into Brave Bird type of builds if you want to use another nuker and works flawlessly. Alright, enough for Best Girl. Sorry about that, but I wanted to clarify because I know for a long time she will always stand higher in my list than most of the people consensus, and I kind of want to justify it. It's not only a bias, it's really a feeling that we have towards the unit. But I understand not everyone agrees with it. Then we did wanted to bump up Silver a little bit. A lot of people kind of compare him to Rosa. I feel it's a little misleading. Sure, they share similar stuff towards utility, but he's not the same DPS at all. But his utility is very great, very neat to use, pretty good unit for Gauntlet with flinches and freezes. So he's pretty good there. For me, he's kind of like an inferior Skylanta in terms of if we consider the potential damage dealer aspect. But his utility as a trade-off is pretty reliable. So there they goes there, like right below Mallow in the same subgroup. You know, Mallow might as well be a damage dealer when you set up optimally. She eats like a truck, especially on the nuke side, while retaining some a bit of niche with confusion and attack drops. Great. Finally, we did value a little bit more Nanu compared to before, like above Wickstrom. Screech, pretty good. Um, Basically, flinch spamming, have a nuke. Yeah, good stuff. We feel it's great to end the tier with him there. And finally, we did bump slightly Whitney. similar reason actually. Like herb utility flows very well for like gauntlet runs and stuff like that. So it was mostly suggestion from Dark that prefers her to the poison um, duo there. So yeah, we just bump her a little bit. Nothing happened to the bottom tier, so refer to the previous video if you are wondering about those. But overall, we're pretty satisfied about this update. There was quite a lot of extensive discussion through text over several days with teammates, and we feel it's in a good shape. We will. I don't know if I will check on damage dealer or utility before the next data mine. We feel they're decent shape. They could use some refinements. Maybe we'll do. I don't know. But yeah, besides that, just to let you know, Ropalme is working with the group of contributors to update on the Game Press tier list. So we should get that updated on the website in the next few days. Let's see how it goes. But tons of feedback to gather from everyone. There was tons of unit this month, so yeah, I assume you understand. It's pretty hard for us to process everything. Very happy with the hybrid changes once again. I hope you'll enjoy this impromptu video and stay tuned for more. See ya!